Wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A greeting of peace to all my family and friends. I'm your host, Sami Higab, and just now I'm going to make a reaction video, a very short reaction video on Nigel Farage comments with regards to the First Minister, Humza Yousaf, who is equivalent, for people that are not aware, it's equivalent to a Prime Minister of the UK, but he's head of the government in Scotland. Now I'm based in the Isle of Man, so and I do own property in Scotland, so it's very close to my heart. As well as I am part Scottish as well. My grandmother's actually Scottish, descendant of King Robert Fleming, as well as Sir Alexander Fleming. So I have very interest in the politics of Scotland, as well as England as a whole, United Kingdom, and so on. And I do have comments to make, but before I do, what I would like to do first is watch Great Britain's news coverage on Nigel Farage with regards to taking in refugees in the UK. So without any further ado, I'm going to just adjust my
Good evening. Well, it was the Scottish Minister, Humza Yousaf, who kicked the debate off yesterday. I mentioned it briefly at the end of the show last night. He is arguing that we should take people, maybe a lot of people, from Gaza. This is what the Scottish First Minister had to say.
There are currently 1 million people displaced within Gaza. So therefore, I'm calling today on the international community to commit to a worldwide refugee programme for the people of Gaza. I'm calling on the UK government to take two urgent steps. Firstly, they should immediately begin work on the creation of a refugee resettlement scheme for those in Gaza who want to and, of course, are able to leave. And when they do so, Scotland is willing to be the first country in the UK to offer safety and sanctuary to those who are caught up in these terrible attacks.
Yes, just before Nigel Farage kicks off, I would like to make a few comments to educate Nigel Farage, because I have been following Nigel Farage for some time and I know his kind of way of thinking. First of all, Nigel Farage, I'm going to give you the benefit of doubt for being ignorant about Muslims and being ignorant about the human race as a whole. We as Muslims, we believe in that we all originated from Adam. Effectively, he's our father, the father of all races, and therefore we all belong to the human race. And effectively, because of that, we are all related. We're all one family. You're my brother, and everyone else are my brothers and sisters in humanity. And therefore, we shouldn't discriminate against each other. And when someone is in need, we should reach out and serve them. And our purpose of life is to serve others. Service to many leads to greatness. Now, we all have our own traits and attributes. We all have different ethnic roots, cultures, traditions, and so on. And in the Quran, it tells us very clearly that we created you from a single pair of male and female and made you into nations and tribes. Not that you despise each other, but you recognize each other. You know, we value diversity. We should embrace diversity and our differences. It's not something such as, like a weakness, or we are a superior race and they're an inferior race. We shouldn't adopt such fascist and racist ideologies, such as the Nazis, the fascists, and the Zionists. These are all racist cults. The Ku Klux Klan. So I would like you to change your way of thinking and not see people as different, and you are a superior race and someone else is inferior to you. That's number one. And number two, we should be looking for people that are less fortunate than us and serve them. We should be looking to serve others. Service to many leads to greatness. Once again, we all value each other, and together everyone achieves more. So just like people are in war-torn countries, they're in dire need right now. across the world, 80 million, I think you mentioned in the things, but I'll let the viewers hear it for themselves, that are in need of help. What we should be doing, instead of closing our doors, we should be embracing these people, because one day that could be us. Maybe one day you could be homeless. You might be needing help. You don't know what might happen. Your bank might just freeze all your assets. This is the way we're going. All these woke ideas and woke societies. The world is just walking straight into the abyss. So we should change direction. You need to do something different. You need to start thinking outside the box, my friend. Okay, that's number one. Okay, now you need to understand what Islam means, because I don't think you do. You always have this Islamophobic way of thinking about every answer. Now, I heard some of your answers, that's why I'm kind of commenting in advance. Just give you a little bit of education before you kick off yourself. First of all, Islam, the root translation of the word is peace. And this is peace and total submission to the will of God. Now, you might be a believer in a creator or not. That's entirely up to you. There is no compulsion in a way of life. There is no compulsion in religion. I've done my research. I've decided Islam is my way of life, and I've adopted it holistically, and I'm doing my best when no one's perfect. Okay, I have a diverse ethnic, genetic makeup. I'm sure you do as well. I'm sure everyone does, because we all originated once again from Adam. We have one creator and one source of the same father and same mother. Does not mean that we are inferior and superior races. We're all brothers and sisters, and we're supposed to be completing each other. That's the first thing. And we submit our will to the will of God. Those who profess to be Muslims. And Islam is just an Arabic word, which basically means peace and total submission to the will of God. And God does not like the starters of war. We always should find a peaceful resolution. Now, what I would like to do, I would like to hear your remarks first, and then I'll make some more comments for people like yourself that are far right, extremists, have this racist, white supremacist, rednecks, Ku Klux Klan kind of thinking, the Nazi kind of thinking, Zionist, racist ideologies. They can also learn. But they also have an opportunity to change. Everyone has an opportunity to change. While you're still alive, you still have a chance to make a better life for yourself and for others. That's the purpose of life. We're here to serve others and contribute while we're here on earth, to contribute and make this world a better place for us as well as the future generation. That is what we're supposed to be striving for, making the world a better place, making ourselves a better version of ourselves every single day. We're striving, being proactive in life, as well as at the same time making life better for other people, not despising each other. And the best of us, according to the Quran, according to the word of Allah, Allah is the one true God, is the best of us are the ones who are most beneficial in society, the ones who have the most piety to God, the ones who are best in conduct. That's how you reach seniority. That is how you go up. That's how you step up, by being humble, by being more beneficial to other people, by caring. That is how you raise up in status, not based on your lineage, your skin color, your eye color, your hair color, your gender. That doesn't make you any senior. That does not make you better than others. Okay, we're all equal. We're different, but we're equal. Please try to understand this. And if you want to reach out to me, my contact detail is below. You can connect to me on LinkedIn. We can have a very respectful conversation. And at the end, if you don't agree with my point of view and my understanding, and we can't convince each other, we can respectfully disagree. Agree to disagree. That's also acceptable. And you don't have to, accept the same way of life. You don't have to be a Muslim. You make your own decisions. You see what makes you happy, and others like you. You see, but don't impose your way of life on other people, and other people don't impose their way of life on you. But we should get along. We should cooperate to be beneficial in this life. I hope it's clear so far, and I've repeated a few points because I want to make sure that you get what I'm saying here. Okay, let's watch your video and then we'll continue, inshallah, God willing.
Well, there we are. Scotland is ready, but he's really saying the whole of the UK should be ready. Now, let's be clear about one thing. Since 2016, we have taken in over 500,000 people, 500,000 people as refugees. We've been told it's all because of exceptional circumstances in Hong Kong, in Syria, in Afghanistan, and of course, more recently, in Ukraine. The numbers are so high because they're exceptional. But hey, here comes yet another exception. And you know something? The UNHCR say there are 80 million people around the world who are living in war zones who potentially could qualify as refugees. I would make the argument that if you add to that the hordes of young men crossing the English Channel, who we have to put up in 400 hotels, in private residences, and now, of course, back on barges in Dorset, that we simply can't cope, and in terms of numbers, we should say enough. What I find even more interesting is the reaction of people who are neighbours to Gaza. For example, take what the Egyptian president said yesterday. He said what is happening now in Gaza is an attempt to force civilian residents to take refuge and migrate to Egypt, which should not be accepted.
Now, with regards to Egypt, I completely accept your point. It's a very valid point. So I do agree with that point. And I also agree with the point of why other so-called Islamic countries do not take in the Muslims. And you can see in Europe, for example, with the crisis in Ukraine, the war going on between Russia and Ukraine, Europe opened their arms and welcomed all the Ukrainians. So Europe, UK, and other countries as well opened their arms and welcomed. So it's acceptable, and this is something that I totally agree with at that point. But you have to understand something, Nigel. There isn't a real Islamic country. There is no such thing as a Muslim country. They are secular countries. Egypt, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, all these countries are secular countries. They're no different than in the UK or Germany or any other country. They're not different. They're not following the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ or the teaching of the prophets that were sent by God, nor are they following the words of God. They're not following the Quran. The leaders are different than the civilians of the country. Yes, in Egypt, Egyptians are opening their arms and prepared to even defend the Gazans and the Palestinians because they are our brothers in humanity. Just like you are my brother in humanity, Nigel. We're no different. We're all human beings. We all deserve dignity, respect, freedom, and love, and everything, you know. We shouldn't be discriminating against anyone. So yeah, I do agree with your point. It's a very valid point, but you have to understand something. The government is different, are detached from the people. They're detached from the reality. And they want to play this out for political gains. It's a political game for them. At the same time, they don't want Palestinians to give up on their birthright, their native land. Now, the solution to that, Nigel, yes, I do agree, Egypt should take in refugees, should accommodate, and every single country in the world should accommodate. Just like everyone in the UK and everyone around the world should make space, should squeeze to serve others. And like I said in the beginning of my intro, we are here to serve others. Service to many leads to greatness. We're supposed to be looking at the people that are less fortunate than us and give them a helping hand up. We shouldn't be discriminating against anyone. We shouldn't be even feeling pity. That's absolutely wrong. We should be empathetic. We should put ourselves in their place, put ourselves in their shoes and say, well, if I was in that situation, what would I like the people to do for me? What kind of help and support would I like to get from others? Now, the permanent solution is to dismantle the apartheid, racist, terrorist state of Israel. This is the ultimate solution for us to provide security and safety for the Palestinians, to give them a right to return to their own land, to compensate them for 100 years plus of oppression, discrimination, assault, rape, human trafficking, all sorts of disgusting things that other human beings do to other human beings. This is totally unacceptable. Theft, all these things, they need to have their legal right. Get their land back. Yes, that's the permanent solution. We can find a peaceful resolution in everything. Now, I don't see Jews as enemies because I'm also ethnically part Jew, ethnically part Ashkenazi, ethnically part Egyptian, ethnically European, ethnically Scottish. I have many ethnic makeup, even from the land they call Saudi Arabia. I have descendants to everything because once upon a time, we all lived in peace and harmony. Christians, Muslims, Jews, and atheists, they all lived side by side. No one discriminated against anyone. Once upon a time, there was peace in the world. And we all coexisted together until these lunatics came in power. And then they started, imposing slavery, conquering, British colonialism, going into Africa and saying we're civilizing the Africans, massacring Africans, spreading some false ideology that God punished the black people, so they turned them black because of their sins, and the only way they can attain salvation is for them to serve the white master. All this nonsense. I know about the history. I know about the occupation of Egypt by the British and French and so on, and what the French did to the Algerians and all over the world. The corruption that they've spread all over the world, claiming they're the peacemakers, but they're the mischief makers. We have to be honest about all these things, Nigel. UK are not innocent. The whole catastrophe that happened is because of Belford gave another people's land to a group of lunatics that were inspired by the Nazis and claimed that they're a superior race, just like Hitler did, targeting Jews and trying to claim that he's a superior race, the Aryan race. And so the visionary of Zionism was inspired. He was the visionary, and he was inspired by the Nazis. He was inspired by eugenics. He was inspired by white supremacists. He said, well, the only way we're going to fight racism is to be racist, which is absolute ludicrous. It's absolute nonsense, Nigel. You can't fight racism with racism. You can't fight hate with hate. At some point, someone has to stop and say, no, I'm going to fight hate with love. I'm going to fight racism by accepting everybody as equal, not discriminating against anyone. I'm going to start with myself. And if everyone starts with themselves and makes a change at an individual level, then collectively we can all change. And the world can be a better place for everybody. That's my idea. It's not my opinion. This is what the Quran teaches. This is what Islam teaches us, that we're all brothers and sisters in humanity. And when the Jews were being persecuted by the Romans, even way before that, we could go right back since the beginning of creation if you want. But when the Jews were persecuted, they sought refuge with who? The Muslims, the Arabs, the North Africans. The Christian Europe, after that, they were persecuting the Jews, claiming that they killed Jesus, peace and blessing be upon him, accusing them of this hideous crime of killing a prophet of God. And they were innocent. They didn't kill any prophet of God other than their own prophets that were sent to them. Yes, they did. Children of the Israelites did kill. The Jews did kill their own prophets, some of them, but not all of them are guilty of it. There's always good and bad people in every particular race. So what we should be tackling is the criminals. But we accuse them of killing Jesus, peace and blessing be upon him, and they were discriminated in Europe. And where did they go to? The Muslim lands. When it was a Muslim land, when Egypt was ruled by a just leader like Omar ibn Abdul Aziz, who, by the way, within 2 years, he eradicated poverty. Under Islam, you only have tax at 2.5%, which is called zakat. You give 2.5% to purify your wealth to the state, and the state uses it to give it to the people, pensions, not even, like people that are over a certain age, not that you had to work, whatever. people that are not able to work. They don't have the abilities to serve in society and become economically active, and anyone in need. Housing, land, all the natural resources of the land belong to the state effectively, and they use the revenues generated from all natural resources to serve the people. They spend that money to provide education, sewage work, that kind of stuff. So that revenue comes from that area, and 2.5 is supposed to be to be given to the poor. And there's other conditions how you distribute the zakat. But within 2 years, he eradicated poverty completely. There was nobody claiming any form of benefit. Can you imagine that? So what did they used to do? The condition in Islam that the treasury has to be empty every single year. There was no debts to the government. So he used to distribute the 2.5% to the poor people in Europe. There weren't Muslims, by the way, in Europe. And the poor people and the peasants in France and the poor people, they weren't Muslims. And this is not the condition to give the money only to Muslims. They're human beings. Even if they spend the money on other creations of God, such as cats and dogs, that's also great. There was a very sinful woman who committed all sorts of sins in her life. But one day she seen a thirsty dog, and she gave him water. And because of that, the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, told us that she went to paradise. God forgave all her sins because she showed mercy to another creation of God. Now you imagine, if this wasn't a dog, this was another human being that needed help, that was thirsty, and you gave him water. What kind of a reward would be from God? To show compassion and love for a fellow human being and other creations of God as well. Islam is all about love and peace, respect, equal rights, being beneficial. It's always encouraging us to be more beneficial, learn and then teach. When I go to the gym and start exercising, I'm not thinking for my aesthetic body or just my own health. I'm thinking I need to have good health so I can be a better servant. I can be more beneficial in society. That's the way I'm taught as a Muslim. This is what Islam taught me. If you didn't know, this is what Allah taught me in the Quran. But unfortunately, a lot of people are not aware of that. A lot of people think Islam is just about praying 5 times a day, or just being born a Muslim. It's like something they inherit. So I do understand the point that you're making about Egypt, Jordan, and so on. But you have to understand, these people and the people that are in power, they're there as muppets of the head state above them, and they take orders from Israel. So Egypt does control the border, but they can't open the border unless they get permission from Israel. It's like someone 100 miles away, 1,000 miles away, gives the order, open the gate of your own sovereign state, or close the gate. Switch off the water, switch on the water. They decide. There is no freedom and choice. The government in Egypt are just basically like a decoration. They take orders and they say we hear and obey. They're not complying to the Quran. They're not complying to their own decisions. They take orders and they follow orders. That's all it is. Just like in an army, the superior officer and the Egyptians and all these other countries are neighboring to Palestine, neighboring to Gaza, and neighboring to all these regions. They are just basically soldiers. They're there to say we hear and obey. They can't disobey orders because they're scared for their own life. But what's going to happen after they completely ethnically cleanse all the Palestinians and shift as many people across the border into Sinai? Next thing, they'll do another preemptive strike on Egypt and then invade Egypt, because that's their mission. I hear it from so many Zionist friends of mine. They always tell me that God promised them that land. And because they fabricated all the evidence. God did not promise them that land, because God is not racist. He would not discriminate against people. There is no such thing as a superior race and inferior race. We're all equal. We're different, but we're equal, Nigel. So we should respect each other. We should celebrate our differences. We should accept it. We should see it as something positive, not negative. Because you didn't get to choose who your parents are. You were just born in the world with a set of cards, set of traits and attributes, weaknesses and strengths. No one's strong in everything. And you have to play your deck of cards that you're given. You have to work with your strengths and, strengthen your weakness if you can. But we have to complete each other. Your weakness could be my strength, and my strength could be your weakness. And we're supposed to complete each other. I help you, you help me, we help another fellow human being. We're supposed to cooperate for better and respect each other's privacy, respect each other's boundaries. You have every right to live your life the way you want to live it. You decide how you're going to. You have 24 hours, I have 24 hours. I decide to invest my 24 hours in a certain way, whether it's exercise, education, working, building a business. You might decide otherwise. You might just say, well, I'll spend 24 hours sleeping, or I'll 24 hours traveling the world. You decide. No one has a right to tell you how to live your life. Just like you have no right to tell other people how they should supposed to live their life. However, when someone asks you for help, you can't turn your back on them. You have to support them. Even if they don't ask you for help, you have to go out because that's your purpose in life. This is why God created you, so you can go out and find the people that are less fortunate and serve them. Of course, you don't have to follow what I'm saying. I'm saying only the people that profess to be Muslim. That's they're supposed to be their purpose, and that's what they're going to be judged on. It's how they've lived their life. When someone was hungry, when someone was thirsty, someone was in need of help, did they reach out and help them, or did they just turn a blind eye? It's the reality. That's the reality of things, Nigel. So, although I do agree with you at this point, but I just wanted to clarify a few other points. This, the backstory, if you like, to this whole thing, and you have to understand that Egypt isn't free. It's still under kind of an occupation, although it's an invisible occupation. It's not like a military occupation, but they are controlled from far, from outside. The hidden government, if you want to say, okay, which pretty much control the whole world, and they decide what agenda to push through the mainstream media. They push us to think in a certain way. So we shouldn't follow the mainstream media. We shouldn't just fall prey and get brain trashed by the mainstream media. And you know something, Nigel, although I've cursed other people and I've said bad things because I've seen they're very hypocritical, but sometimes when I watch your program, I see you're very sincere to your particular cause. You believe in, your cause and what you believe in. That's why I'm kind of talking to you with a little bit of respect, because I believe in your heart there is goodness. And I believe in the hearts of some people that are currently far right and extremist, there is goodness. There is a good, even an atom weight of good. And you need to grow that goodness, that little atom of good in your heart to overcome all the evil and negative thoughts that you have in your mind. So I ask you to open your mind, open your heart, and look into Islam. Find out about the history of Palestine. Find out about the history of the Jews. Find out from Jewish scholars. I'm not telling you to just believe from the Islamic perspective. Look at the Jewish, scholars and professors. Watch their programs. There's a lot of YouTube channels that talk about Jewish history, and you will learn that the golden age for the children of Israel, the Israelites, was under Islam. And many of them reverted to Islam. Many of them intermarried with the natives of the land. Many of the Palestinians, they're ethnically from the native land as well as ethnically Israelites. Descendants of Jacob, Yaqub in Arabic. Jacob, the other name for Jacob is Israel. He's the prophet Israel. And he had 12 sons. One of them was Joseph. We call him Yusuf. And they moved to Egypt. And from the 12 tribes, from the descendants of Israel. Then came the tribe that are called Judah, and which is how they adopted the name Jews later on. But they're all brothers, descendant from Jacob. But before it was called Jews, and the term Jews came about, that piece of land and the people that lived in that land were Palestinians. It was called Palestina or Philistines, but also the Canaanites, and there was other groups that lived there. But you know what, Nigel? It doesn't really matter what the name of the country is. It doesn't really matter, because this whole planet is our planet. God placed us here as trustees. Trustees to cultivate, to grow, develop. We are here just trustees. No one owns any land. There's no such thing as, this land is yours and this property you own it. Yes, you can buy, and you can own property. You have a title to a property and so on, and I should respect your boundaries. That's true. But God did not write that when Nigel Farage is born, he will take Sammy's house because I wrote it for him, and you come up with some fictitious contract saying that God promised you from the beginning of creation that you'll be born at this date, and now you have to repossess my property because you have a piece of paper that you fabricated. It's absolute nonsense. But that is exactly what these Nazis, these Zionists came about. They invaded a country, exterminated the ethnic group, created genocide, just like the British did to the native Aborigines in Australia, just like they did in America, killing almost 500 million native Indians to clear the land, just like they did in Africa and like all around the world. So we need to stop this. We need to stand up together against these Nazi, Zionist, racist ideologies. These terrorists are the Zionists. The Zionists are the terrorists. We're being brain trashed regarding all these freedom fighters, resistant fighters. But we should speak up the truth, not be scared, not side with the bully. We should side with the victims. And there comes a time when inaction and silence is betrayal. Now, if you're a brave man, you have to speak up for justice. You have to speak up for human rights. You can't be siding with the Nazis. You can't be siding with the Zionists, terrorists, the criminals. These are sick human beings. And I'm not telling you to go eradicate them. No one ever said these words. These are all fabricated, made up claims on the mainstream media. Because like I said to you, we're all from the same human race. We're all brothers and sisters. And if Israel and the Israeli citizens resist and refuse to serve in the army and resist and refuse to kill other human beings, there'll be peace in the Middle East. If we dismantle the apartheid state, there'll be peace. People are treated equal. No one's above the law. Someone commits a crime, they have to serve time. They have to pay for that crime. No one takes the law in their own hands. We need to stamp out violence. There's better solutions, peaceful solutions, than taking up arms and killing our own brothers and sisters. Just like I told you, you don't get to choose your parents. Someone who might be born from a Zionist family and they've been brainwashed, basically breastfed racism from childhood. But when they reach a mature age, they have to research for themselves. They have to find out the facts from the fiction. And they need to stand up for truth and justice. Just like Miko Peled, the son of a general. One of the signatories to the whole declaration of Israel. The grandfather was the signature general. One of the founders of Israel. And he speaks up on the side of the Palestinians. Why? Because he realized they're on the right and it's the other side, his own nation, are the criminals, are the terrorists. But he's brave to stand up against it. That's the reality, Nigel. You need to stand up for the side, the victim. You support the victim, not support the criminal. That's all I have to say for you for now. I want you to continue. I want to hear your points, and then I'll make a comment. It's a short video, but I just wanted to interject at some point just to give you a little bit of insight, as well as people that think just like you. I want to also educate them about the reality. Forget about the nonsense that you hear about Muslims and Arabs, and we didn't come from different planets, mate. We all originated from the same father and mother. We're not aliens from different planets and here, trying to conquer planet Earth. And that's why we're killing each other. The first racist was Satan, because he was discriminating against the human race. We have a common enemy, Iblis, Satan, that demonic being. We need to fight against that enemy, not fight amongst ourselves. And yes, Egypt should open the border, should allow people in, should accommodate, but at the same time, there has to be an agreement that this land belongs to the Palestinians. We can't ethnically cleanse or claim discriminate against them, or ethnically cleanse the local populace. We need to compensate them, because this is genocide, what's happening right now. We need to compensate these people. And the best solution, like I said, in case you missed the point, is to resolve the problem in their country. Resolve the problems in Syria. Resolve the problem in Palestine. Whether it's a two-state solution, whether it's a one-state solution. I believe we can have a one-state solution and liberate the whole land and dismantle the apartheid state like they did in South Africa. And everyone can live in peace and harmony. No one will seek revenge. No one will do anything like that. People will just accept it. And their dead are in paradise. But these Nazis and Zionists, their dead are in hellfire for eternity. And anyone that follows them, anyone that supports them, directly or indirectly, are also going to be following them into hellfire for eternity. And their skin, when it burns in hell, which fire is far more, 1 billion times hotter than the sun, when their skin is burning and they're going through all this severe pain in hell, guess what? Their skin will be replenished. Their sensation, the nerve endings, which gives you that feeling of pain, will be still there. They'll constantly be in constant punishment and suffering forever. Because what they did, exterminating and killing, all this criminal stuff that they did to native people, the Palestinians, who suffered for over 100 years, they have to pay for that price. And that price is eternal punishment in hellfire. You don't want to be one of them, mate. You need to wake up. Smell the coffee. If you want, I can make you some coffee. I've got some coffee here if you want. I'll make you some coffee. So just, wake up and realize the reality. We've been taken for a fool, all of us. These hidden governments, whatever you want to call them, the Matrix, as Andrew Tate says, they're playing with us. They're playing with our lives. They're trying to annihilate, I can't even say the word anymore. Completely kill. They're going to start with the Palestinians. They're going to work all the way until they get to you and me as well. Anyway, let's just watch your thing, because I tend to talk a lot. So I'll try to hold myself back and listen to the whole clip, and then I'll make some comments, inshallah, God willing.
Egypt rejects any attempt to resolve the Palestinian issue by military means or through the forced displacement of Palestinians from their land, which would come at the expense of other countries of the region. He went on to say that the Egyptian people would go out and protest in their millions if called upon to do so. So Egypt will not be taking any refugees from Gaza. King Abdullah II of Jordan said, "No refugees in Jordan." No refugees in Egypt. And let's remind ourselves, shall we? Let's remind ourselves that Saudi Arabia did not take a single refugee from Syria because they were worried it would affect their culture and their safety in Saudi Arabia. These are words that maybe we ought to listen to. And of course, we've had over the course of the last week these marches that have taken place in London, in Belfast, in Birmingham, in Edinburgh, in Manchester, marches at which people who live within our communities but have a different set of values to those of the more settled population have been out, in some cases, openly celebrating terrorist atrocities. Now, I'm going to give you some stats from Denmark that are very shocking. In 1992, Denmark gave refuge to 321 Palestinians. By 2019, the government produced results for what had happened to them. 64% of those that had been given refuge had obtained criminal records. 34% of their children had obtained criminal records. And bear in mind, many of the children hadn't yet grown up. And the vast majority were living on welfare. That particular influx of refugees that went in to Denmark proved to be a mistake and a complete disaster. And that's before Hamas really got into gear. I'd ask Humza Yousaf and anyone that thinks we should take large numbers of people from Gaza, why on earth should we risk our national security? Frankly, it doesn't make sense. We've had a record over centuries of helping people in trouble, but I say for now, enough's enough. And I say that on the very day that the integration czar for the government, who is independent of the Home Office, has said that because of mass integration, we have serious problems with integration in our country.
Okay, Nigel, this is completely absurd what you're saying. I completely disagree with you, and these studies don't prove a thing. Of course, there are people out there that, they don't have any intention to be productive. So yes, I do agree that they need to be educated. We need to integrate them into the society. We need to give them help and support, guidance. They need to learn, like I told you, about Islam, and to learn about the purpose of life and all these things. But unfortunately, it's not just a matter of just bringing them in the country. The community themselves has a responsibility, the Muslim community that is, or the Christian community if they're Christians, because Palestinians are also Muslims and Christians. So it's not just a case of refugees from Muslim countries or anything like that. So yes, we definitely have to play a role. Unfortunately, many of the Muslim communities are not taking a proactive role. They're kind of ignoring it. Everyone's living as an individual. They're no different than the way you think anyway. They segregate. They stay away. They don't integrate with the society. But what we should be doing is we all need to step up to the plate and help everyone collectively. Like I said as well, and I'll make the point again, you can't fight racism with more racism. You can't fight violence with more violence. You can't. This is not the solution, Nigel. And those people that are protesting, and I've walked in protests in the past, many of them were non-Arabs, Europeans, Jews even, that are side by side with the Palestinian and are fighting at the corner of the Palestinians to get back their land. And the permanent solution is to resolve the problem on the ground and to return the land to the native people. Compensate them, give them back their homes, and if you can't return their homes, at least give them compensation, allow them to live in dignity, give them equal rights. No one's above the law. So yes, if we do that, yes, we can solve the problem. And if the issue is that you don't want these refugees to be supported from the public purse, that's fine. There are many people that are happy to support them. I myself, I own property. I'm no longer a multimillionaire or anything, but I'll do whatever it takes. I'm prepared to go hungry for other people to eat. I'm prepared to do whatever it takes to save one life. So if other people are not prepared to do it, if the British don't want to support anyone else, I'll support as many as I can. And I'm sure that there are people around the world that will also do the same, without trying to exploit these people that are weak and vulnerable. There are good people out there, just like there's evil people, sick people. There are good people. And I'm sure if we can all cooperate together, we can find a solution. And you know what? We can even go one step further, Nigel, to make you even more happy. How about taking the people that are highly educated, doctors, engineers, accountants, people that are needed within the UK economy, needed all over the world. We can fill jobs that are not being filled by the British and by the people that are British nationals in the UK. Let these people, the dentists, the psychiatrists, the doctors, the nurses, let them come in and let them play a proactive role in the economy. Let them become economically active so it's mutually beneficial. Why don't we allow these people in? How about even if you don't want to help these people and you feel they can go anywhere in any country and work and so on, how about we just take the people that need support, such as the children, the old people, people that have medical issues? Why do we allow the Palestinians to die, sit in their homes and get bombed for absolutely no reason? I have many friends in Gaza, by the way, and I tried to reach out. Many of them I couldn't reach, and the ones that I managed to reach them, they sent me a picture and videos of the aftermath of their property. And they told me that they had only 2 minutes. They received a text, and they had 2 minutes to evacuate. And as they were leaving, some of them got injured. Imagine you just run out the house. As soon as you get a text, you just run out the house. And that's a big thank you to the Israelis for giving them 2 minutes to evacuate before dropping a bomb, which was nothing more than a house. No terrorists, nothing. Their businesses got bombed. There's absolutely nothing other than food. They bombed the hospitals. They bombed schools. They bombed all the shops, restaurants, even a bakery they bombed. No weapons, no underground networks, none of this BS that you get sold. It's all a pack of lies, my friend. It's all a pack of lies, and that makes me angry because they're bullshitting everybody. And everybody is so fucking dumb, they buy the bullshit. Now imagine that's what's happening to the UK. It was happening to your family. What would you do? And you know you're absolutely 1,000,000,000% that you're innocent. You're not participating even in a fight. These people are completely passive. They have nothing to do at all with they just want to live. They just want to eat and live. And how about this, Nigel Farage? I have friends that are journalists, okay, within the borders of Gaza, and they're reporting. And one of my friends got shot in the leg by one of these snipers, the IDF. Now, there was no retaliation. All these resistant fighters did not do anything. Many children, in fact, 3,000 men inside Gaza got amputated simply because they were the Israelis used them as target practice. So imagine you're leaving your house in the morning and someone shoots you in the leg. Just as a joke. Just because you are a Palestinian and you have no legal right. You're absolutely just taking your children to school. How about your children walking to school and they get shot? Were they terrorists? Were they even involved in the resistance, trying to liberate the land? And they get shot for absolutely no reason. How about your kids? Someone comes into your home, kidnaps your children. Just to, they call it pruning, lawn in the grass. So they like to reduce the population, the Palestinian population. They don't want the Palestinian population to grow. People that are doing absolutely nothing. No threat at all. Now, what kind of bullshit is that? Now, how about this? They're always saying in the media about Hamas, Hamas, Hamas. How about the West Bank? There is no Hamas, no government, open place, and they go in and they killed 7,000 people. 7,000 innocent civilians. Nothing at all being militant, nothing at all being involved with anything, not supporting anyone at all. Innocent civilians. And the world is silent. What a shame. What a shame. You know why they do that? Do you know why most people are silent? Because they're cowards. I even have many friends that told me this. They said to me, Sammy, don't speak about all these things. Just build your business. God will take revenge. Don't get yourself involved in these matters. Because all the brave people end up dead. And I said to them, I rather die as a brave man and speak the truth, speak my mind and speak my heart and stand up for justice than to die in my bed many years from now as a coward. Just like William Wallace said. If you watch Braveheart. And it's true. What's the point to live without freedom? Why are we occupying other people's lands? Why did we give someone else's land to another people that were actually a cult? They were a terrorist group. They even caused terrorist attacks against the British. They were biting the hand that fed them. The very same people that gave them the declaration, the Balfour Declaration, they went and committed a terrorist act on the British. They even attacked USS Liberty. Do some research. I'm not going to go into the detail of it. Although they knew full well it was an American ship, a military ship. They boarded the ship and they shot the Americans, the Marines, the officers. Unfortunately, they couldn't get to everybody, and they managed, the officers on that ship managed to send out the signal, distress signal, and they intercepted the communication. And America at that point was preparing to nuke Egypt. They wanted to blame Egypt, because who else could it be? It couldn't be the Israelis. It couldn't be them, because we helped them. We're the ones who are actually financing them. We're giving them the weapons. It can't be them. Surely it can't be them. And they even intercepted it. They've got recordings of the Israelis, the pilots, telling their HQ that these are Americans, American ship, American flag. The guys are saying we're American. They're speaking an American accent. And they still got instructions. Attack the ship. They attacked it from all corners. Just like they're attacking Gaza right now. So they did it to the Americans. They did it to the British. They commit terrorist acts against everyone. They're the ones who are behind 9/11. You probably didn't know. It's a false flag operation. Even the attack on 7th October was a false flag operation. The world's going to find out about it soon anyway. Eventually it will come out. And it was a false flag operation to serve Netanyahu's government, the far-right government. They orchestrated this whole thing. It's absolute nonsense what's going on. Even Pearl Harbor was a false flag operation. They knew full well about the intentions of the Japanese, and they wanted to do this, attack, and they allowed it. They sacrificed their own for a bigger cause, which is absolutely wrong. We should prevent any loss of human life. This is my opinion, Nigel. Now the video finished anyway. You've pretty much finished. I stopped at the last 2 seconds before the clip cuts off. So, ladies and gentlemen, friends, family, if you disagree with my point of view and my opinion, please reach out to me. I highly value constructive criticism, but give me some facts. I don't want people to send me insults and call me whatever. I want people, if I'm wrong, give me some facts. I'm very open-minded. I look into everything. But the only point I agree with Nigel here is yes, unfortunately, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Egypt, all the Middle Eastern countries, their governments refuse to assist in the front unless there's a political gain from it. They care about their image more. Now, I've been involved with some charities, Muslim charities even, as a volunteer. And I notice certain things I dislike as well from the people that are trustees, the people that are managing charities. They're really focused about publicity. They're focused about abusing people's trust so people donate money. They use this whole catastrophe and orphans and all that stuff to really ask for donations to finance their own lifestyle, the people that are managing. So they're taking a big cut from stuff like that. Most of them are collecting donations right now, claiming they'll support Gaza when we know money can't go in, aid can't go in at the moment. Why are they collecting money now? Because they want to put it in a high interest saving accounts and earn interest. And I've seen that. I've seen it in big charities, big names, Islamic charities. I'm not going to even talk about non-Muslim charities. I've seen their bank accounts as I was doing bookkeeping for them, and I noticed it was like they're buying bonds, interest-bearing bonds, and earning interest payments. When the donations weren't given to them so they can save it and earn interest on it, it was given to them so they can distribute it to the people that need it. So unfortunately, there's a lot of corruption within the Muslim community, unfortunately, and we're giving Islam a bad name. We are giving Islam a bad name. This is why people like Nigel Farage, Piers Morgan, and all the others have this impression about us. They see us as people that are here to abuse, their trust. We're here to take advantage of them. We're here just to be beggars. And the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ told us the strong Muslim is far better, far more blessed than the weak Muslim. And he wasn't talking about strength as in physical strength. He was talking about financial strength, economic strength, being beneficial to other people, proactive in society. Showing Islam, this is how you give dawah, this is how you show people the beauty of Islam, is through your actions. I'm not the best example, so don't judge Islam even on me. I'm trying to be better, I'm trying to improve, I'm trying to, fix any issues and any challenges I have in my life and become a more productive human being, more beneficial in society. I'm nothing other than a servant of Allah, and that's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Although I did achieve a few things in my life other than not multiple degrees and so on, and you should too. Whether you're a Muslim or not, you should pursue a proactive, beneficial life for yourself, but ultimately you're trying to become better so you can be more beneficial to other people. That should be your focus. And if you want to learn about Islam, you don't have access to the Quran, guess what? Just contact me, give me your address, I'll send you a free Quran. Read it for yourself. And I'm not asking you to read the whole Quran. Just read a few pages, 10 pages or less even. Just open the book randomly and just read it. And you decide for yourself. Find out for yourself what Islam is all about. Find out for yourself about the Palestinian cause. Who's the rightful owner of that land? Who are the natives of that land? And we all coexisted in the past together. Muslims and Jews lived side by side. They were babysitting for each other. They were sharing the cultures between each other. And also in Egypt and elsewhere around the world. Muslims and Jews always lived and coexisted together in peace and harmony. We were closer than any other cultures, Arabs and Jews, because we're even closer in relation. Because we even, like I said in the beginning of the video and many times, we all originated from the same father and mother, Adam. So we're all children of Adam. But ethnic Jews, or ethnic Israelites, not just Jews, because Judah is just one of the sons, it's just one of the tribes of Israel, Bani Israel, children of Israel. But the Arabs originated from Ismail, who is the brother of Ishaq, is Isaac. So we're even closer. And many of us are related to both lineage. Many of us have Arab ethnicity as well as Israelite or descendants of Ishaq as well. Many of us have mixed because we're all integrated and we all cooperate and intermarried. No one's pure British. There's no such thing. There's no one pure Egyptian. There's no such thing. And we all belong everywhere in the world. Children of Israel are welcome in Egypt, just like Arabs are welcome in the UK. This whole planet is ours. It's ours, not my land, or for an ethnic group, or just for a religious like religious country or something. We belong everywhere, irrespective of your creed, gender, ethnicity, your weight, financial status. All that is irrelevant because we're all here to play a role in this life. We have a purpose to share. And our purpose in life is to serve others. Once again, service to many leads to greatness. So I'm going to end this video by saying we all value each other and together everyone achieves more. Thank you very much for watching and take care. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I wish you all peace and good night. Take care. Bye bye.